A guy with 160 locations told me exactly what I need to do in my business, and I'm going to share that with you. The first thing he taught me is the 4L framework, how your business operates. Obviously, you start with leads. If you don't have leads, you don't have a business because there's no work to do. So once you have leads, you then need labor. Now, when you're starting out, this might be yourself, but eventually you need to hire people. Now, once you hire people to do the labor and you're outsourcing it, there's going to need to be leadership in order to manage that labor. I think of this in two ways. One is having actual leadership qualities and not just being a manager, but being a leader that people want to follow and want to work for. And secondly, the actual management aspect, like what time do they arrive? Are they clocking in? Do they have uniform? How do the jobs need to get done? It's really just general leadership and management, this category. Then once you have gotten the leads, the labor, and the leadership, you're going to complete the work. So you're going to get liquidity, which is cash. Then the cycle continues. You get more leads, more labor, more leadership, more cash. And as you go around this circle, the more and more your business will start to grow. What stunts a business is one of these will bottleneck. So what we thought, we had a bottleneck with leads for the last month or two. And that's not surprising since most business owners think their biggest issue is their leads. And they try to fix this by throwing more cash at the problem, doing more marketing, more advertising. For our example, we just saw our cost of acquisition, meaning the cost we incurred for each new lead, kept getting higher and higher. It was $20 per lead, then $30, and $40, and $50, and went up to $100 at some point. And the thing is, that's not sustainable because you're going to get to a point where every job you're doing is just breaking even because it costs you so much money just to get that customer's information. I've been thinking of our business as a hospital patient in this 4L framework. Let's say your business has a wound and it's bleeding. The leads of your business are the blood of that patient. So as long as the amount of leads coming in, meaning the blood being transfused to the patient, is greater than the amount of blood going out of the patient, you're going to survive. Now, obviously, you're not in a great condition. You're literally transfusing blood, and that's the only thing keeping you alive. You're just surviving. You're not healing. You're not growing. You're not getting better. The only way you are going to get better is by fixing the other things. These are what will heal the wound. What was explained to me is, for example, labor. If you improve labor by having better standards, having better uniforms, having trucks that don't break down, hiring people with core values that match the company, any way that you can improve the labor, whether it's their quality of work or the kind of person you're hiring, will improve the business. Because think about it. If you have a bunch of workers who have really great core values, they're all uniformed, they're all in painted trucks, they're all saying yes sir, no sir, they're not smoking around properties, the customers are going to be a lot happier, right? Next would be leadership. At the end of the day, even if you hire the best people in the world, if you're just a terrible boss and you have no leadership qualities and you're flying off the rails angry every time something goes wrong, those great people are going to leave your organization because they don't want to work for someone like you. Becoming a leader in your personal life, whether that's through better organizational skills, better interpersonal skills, being willing to hear out your workers, teaching them new skills, leading by example. These are all things that improve your leadership qualities and make you be a company that people actually want to work for. And imagine that crazy concept. If all your workers actually want to work at your company and actually enjoy you as a person, as a boss. Now, I'm not saying your workers are going to show up every day super excited to start work. They're not just going to go through their day just counting the hours down and hoping they get out. They're going to want to do better work because they respect you. They're going to talk highly about the company to customers and potential customers who ask about it, and they're going to want to recommend your company. And then liquidity, if you have really hardworking, high-value workers and you have great leadership qualities, you're going to have a higher profit margin because you're just going to be more efficient. You're going to create better systems. People are actually going to want to do the work. They're going to work hard, and that improves your profit, which means more cash for the business. And if you think about these three things, imagine what that does to your leads. It's going to increase. Think about this. Imagine that we have two companies, right? We have company one. The workers at company one, hardworking, great core values, professional. The leadership of the company, they're leading by example, have great systems, holding people accountable, and they have higher profit margin, maybe somewhere in the 20 to 25% range. versus company two. Company two's workers are lazy, lacking in core values, unprofessional, and smoking on the property. And the funny thing is, this company is also leading by example. The leadership and management is lazy, lacking in core values, unprofessional, terrible to no systems. Notice how all the things that the employees are, the leadership is. It's not really the employee's fault they're that way. They're just following your example that you're setting. So if you're lazy, lacking in core values, unprofessional, and terrible and have no systems, how can you expect your workers to be any of those things? And of course, this leads to low profit margin. They could be doing negative profit margin to maybe, 10% at best profit margin. Now, let's say we give each company 100 leads. Which company do you think has a higher close rate? The hardworking, professional, led by example company with a high profit margin? Or company two that's lazy, not leading by example, poor management, poor profit margin? Company one, obviously, because customers actually want to work with company one. So let's say company one has a close rate of 40%. Company two has a close rate of 20%. This means company one acquires 40 new customers and company two acquires 20 new customers. Then let's assume it costs $20 per lead for both companies. So we do $20 a lead times 100 leads equals $2,000 of marketing for both companies. If we do the math on this, we see that company one is able to acquire a new customer for $50 each, which is CAC, cost per acquisition. Company two is able to acquire a customer for $100 because company one focused on their labor, leadership, and high profit margin. They have a higher close rate. And because they have happy workers, good leadership, and a good profit margin, they're actually able to get customers for cheaper. Customers want to book with them. They're only spending $50 to get a new customer. While company two, that is lazy, has poor leadership, has a low profit margin, has to spend more money than company one just to get a new customer in the door because their close rate's only 20%. And this is why companies get stuck in that trap of just giving themselves more blood when they have this big gushing wound that just needs to be healed. Company two shouldn't be thinking, oh, we only have 20 customers and I already spent $2,000. I need to spend another $2,000 to get another 20 customers. Instead, they should be thinking like company one and think, how do we get our close rate from 20% to 40%? Could things like having more efficient workers help? Better leadership help? Like having an estimate follow-up process help? Are we emailing the customer? Are we texting the customer? Are we calling the customer? How soon are we getting them their estimate from when we sent it? How soon are we sending the estimate after the estimate's actually performed? All these things matter to a customer and affect their buying decision. Because guess what? Most customers just want to book with the first company that sends them an estimate. Most customers don't want to deal with 10 different companies and sort through all the estimates. They just want to go with a company they can trust. They don't really care about the price. They just want it done quicker and sooner. So a really hard lesson for us was to get out of the mindset of just buying more leads and instead focus on how can we get this close rate up. So that's something Scott and I have been focused on a ton this past week is how can we improve that close rate? And we are revamping all those things I mentioned, like the follow-up, are we calling, how soon are we getting them the estimate? That's all we're focusing on right now. I actually lowered our ad spend. We were spending somewhere in the range of $2,000 to $3,000 a month in advertising. I just lowered that down to, I think, maybe $1,000 a month tops in advertising across all our platforms, from Facebook to Google Ads to everything, $1,000 in total. And guess what? We are still getting the same lead flow. Surprising. Our cost per acquisition went from like 100 to 50, and we're still booking the same amount of jobs. We're still booked out the same amount. And that's because we started focusing on the harder things, which is the labor, leadership, and liquidity, instead of focusing on just getting more leads in the door. Because again, that's not solving the problem. That's just prolonging it and surviving.